And I usually don't address this much anymore just because I've said my piece and I'm much healthier without all the drama and the craziness and the nonsense. And plus, you don't handle these, these things aren't managed and organized publicly. They get managed and organized behind the scenes, clearly. But I saw that, surprise, surprise, Nick Rekieta lying again. Isn't that something? I will say this. If we stopped our show every time Nick Rekieta told a lie out of jealousy, bitterness, anger, denial, whatever it is, whatever the 5 steps he's on, we'd be stopping our show constantly. But there was, when he makes a lie about me, if it seems to be an egregious lie, a self-preservation lie, I like to check it. I just like to check it where it is. Plus, I'm sure Stalin and those guys are happy because they get a clip out of it. But somebody sent me a thing where Nick said that I had told the police that there were no drugs around his kids. Now, that's not what I said. What I said was nobody physically, they asked me, was anyone doing drugs like next to the kids when the kids were like around? Were they physically, did they see people doing drugs? And I told the truth. I said, not to my knowledge. I don't think so. But the drugs were in the house with 5, sometimes 8 kids in the house. That was, I mean, obviously that he was arrested that way. That's very clear. But people were doing drugs while kids were in the house. In fact, there were some times where in that back bathroom, cocaine was being chopped up or coke was being consumed, and there would be a knock at the bedroom door. It would be one of the kids. I mean, so it was done in very close proximity, and people were under the influence of drugs around children at some point or the other. I mean, myself included. I'm sure there were times there were children home and I was on Molly or whatever. No, in fact, I'm willing to say no doubt about it. So yeah, him saying that, oh, there were never any drugs around the kids. Aaron even said that to the cops. No, I didn't. What I said to the cops was I didn't see anyone actually consuming drugs in front of children. It got awful close sometimes. Nick, of course, had a bullet of cocaine in his pocket and let it fall out and let it sit right next to my, at the time, 4-year-old. I mean, and then also his daughter tested positive for cocaine. So obviously, I mean, it was around the children. I just never saw it immediately, available for them to get. Closest I ever saw was there would be a kid rapping at the door, and he would be in there, doing his rails, doing his lines, doing his stuff. So yeah, amongst the litany of lies he tells on a daily basis, and I don't even know if I don't even know if his lies are malicious. I think they're self-preservation, not self-preservation for the public eye, but for his own psyche. Nick has created his world, and now he's living in it. And whenever these people confront him publicly on that world, when they shatter that world, he'll defend it to the hilt, 100%. So I just wanted to address that because I remember seeing it and I go, well, that's wildly untrue. He's just lying. It's kind of like when he tried to show that text that proved me right on the me not wanting to buy the house anymore thing. And then he goes, this is what it really said. And then it said exactly what I say. And then he blacked out a bunch of text. And it's like, dude, that doesn't make you look good. So, yeah, another lie. But again, I'm not going to stop and check every lie. The Clippers like it when I do. I'm sure he'll be in the comment section of this clip raging out, hitting himself in the head, the whole deal. I would argue he's got his own problems. But yeah, and that's the other thing I don't get. Fighting with people who have like 5 followers, like it matters what they think. Like it matters if you convince them or not. You still had drugs around children. Your daughter still tested positive for cocaine. You still had a serious drug problem. Maybe still do. Probably a serious alcohol problem still. I mean, you got your own problems. Whether that person with 5 followers is convinced or not doesn't change your reality. Like that shit you're typing, that ain't real. going around in the world, that's what's real. So, I don't know, just more troubling behavior. Diamonds and Henna says, Nick can't stop talking about you. You're on his mind constantly. Yeah, I mean, I'd argue it's not healthy, but he knows him. He still has taken no accountability. He wants to deflect and blame. No, well, maybe deflect and blame a little, but I think he wants to say the words, I've taken accountability, and then proceed through behavior to not take any accountability. Deflect it whenever he can. He'll take accountability for what he absolutely has to, backed into a corner, can't deny. If he feels there's an ounce, a sliver of wiggle room, he'll deflect. But again, just had to check that one, because when people say I said shit I didn't say, it's pretty easy for me to put that person out there in check. All right, there you go, Clippers. You got yourself something. Ain't that nice? Usually when Nick's talking a lot and he's blah, 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 and he seems a little funky, usually he's worried about something. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. Where does Nick talk? Does he have a pod? No, people send me clips of like chats he does. Like he just goes and chats. He goes into other shows' chats and talks about me. Is it mentally ill? Of course it is. But when you're talking about double addictions and things like that, you're way past mental illness at that point. But yeah, that was weird to me that he was like, oh, Aaron told the cops that there were never any drugs around kids. I said I never saw anybody use drugs while the kids were looking, while they were watching. That's a lot different. I mean, if it's in your home and there's 5 children in your home, there were drugs around kids. That's how it works. You have to choose between kids and drugs. Can't mix them. Can't mix them. Bloodfart says, people send you clips. Oh my God. I try to be really nice when people send them, because I'm just like, I don't need it. Like, it's okay. I don't watch any of this stuff. I don't look at any of this stuff. But, you know, they're doing it to be nice. So I'm like, okay, sure, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And I probably get 5 or 10 a day. And once a week or once every 2 weeks, I'll see one where I go, ooh, boy, he's down bad. That's a reach. And then I got to address that one. MN Viking says, if you could go back and never meet Nick again, would you? Well, of course I wouldn't. Absolutely not. No, we didn't meet him at our anniversary show. Chrissy invited him to a show she was supposed to do, and she couldn't do it because her father was murdered. But yeah, I would. There's a lot of stuff I would have done differently in the last 5 or 6 years. Diamonds and Henna says he leaves super chats to still talk about Aaron. He pays, and he's active on Twitter too. Yeah, I see a little bit of both. I see a little bit of the Twitters, and then yeah, he pays money to talk about me, which, you know, I mean, I guess in a way you're supposed to feel kind of like, you know, honored. But Diamonds and Henna says Nick had the world and blew it up. You know, it's a little different when you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You don't really know the world when you have it. You know, is it sad to live off your parents into your 40s? Yeah, but if you're living off your parents into your 40s and probably into your 50s and they're loaded, are you really going to ever have to take responsibility for anything? What do they call that? They had a name for that. Affluenza. Will, I don't talk about that stuff on my show, buddy. You don't do that kind of stuff on the show. That's handled another way. So I appreciate that, but you've noticed that I don't talk about it on here. I will not be talking about it on here. And Will, honestly, I don't mean to give you the Icarus too close to the sun, but you've got a real professional media gig. I'm not saying you got to back it off with this petty internet horse shit, but you're getting a little, like, sometimes you get a little too close. Not with me, not with me personally. I mean, like, I'm just saying, some of these things you think it's cool, you think it's fun, and you don't realize that one wrong move, these people start going, "Well, I hate you. Why did you do that?" Just I would say, you got your career. That's all I'll say. You got your career. That's probably the most important thing, I would say. Let's go into this Germany story.